Okay, so we've talked about the realities of parenting. We talked about different parenting styles. And now we're getting into what a lot of people consider to be like the big one.
The dreaded discipline.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I have to admit, this is the part I was most nervous to read about.
Yeah, it can be intimidating.
It can be.
Yeah.
But I will say the book actually frames it in a really refreshing way.
It does. It takes away a lot of that fear and anxiety that surrounds the whole idea of discipline.
Yeah. So tell me more about that. How does the book reframe discipline?
Well, instead of seeing it as purely about punishment and control, making kids behave a certain way,
Yeah.
it really emphasizes that discipline is ultimately about teaching.
Okay.
It's about teaching our children these valuable life lessons, guiding them to understand the consequences of their choices,
Right.
both good and bad, and helping them develop the self-control and problem-solving skills that they'll need to navigate the world.
So it's about giving them the tools to make good choices, even when we're not there to tell them what to do.
Exactly. It's about, fostering that sense of responsibility and helping them become independent, capable people.
Yeah. And this starts early, right?
Oh, absolutely. Even in the toddler years.
Okay.
We can start laying this foundation by, setting clear boundaries, being consistent, and explaining the reasons behind our expectations.
So it's not about just, saying no all the time.
Right.
It's about explaining why certain behaviors are unacceptable.
Exactly. And explaining what the consequences might be.
Okay, so they understand the why behind the rules.
Right. Because when they understand the why,
Yeah.
they're more likely to internalize those rules and make better choices on their own.
So they're not just following rules because you told them to.
Right. It's about helping them develop that internal compass.
Yeah, that sense of right and wrong.
Exactly.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. But what about when kids inevitably, test those boundaries?
Yeah.
What specific discipline strategies does the book recommend?
So the book definitely steers away from harsh punishments. Things like, yelling, spanking, any kind of physical or emotional abuse.
Right.
Instead, it encourages parents to use a range of methods like positive reinforcement timeouts, natural consequences, and logical consequences.
Okay, let's break this down one by one.
Yeah.
So positive reinforcement, what does that look like in practice?
So positive reinforcement is really just about rewarding good behavior.
Okay.
And the book talks about catching your child being good, which I love.
Yeah.
It's so easy to focus on the negative, We're always correcting them when they're doing something wrong.
Right.
But it's so important to also acknowledge and praise the positive behavior.
Yeah, to call out the good stuff.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be anything big or elaborate.
Okay.
A simple, I noticed you shared your toys with your sister without being asked. That was really kind of you.
Yeah.
That can go a long way.
It shows them that you're paying attention.
Exactly. And it makes them feel good about themselves.
Okay, so positive reinforcement check.
Yeah.
What about timeouts?
Yeah.
I know those are kind of controversial.
Some people swear by them, some people hate them.
Yeah, so what's the book's take?
Well, the book presents timeouts as a way to give children a chance to calm down
Okay.
when they're overwhelmed by big emotions.
So it's not about punishment?
No, it's not about isolating them or making them feel bad.
Okay.
It's about giving them a safe space to kind of reset.
So like a break.
Exactly. And the book emphasizes using them consistently and calmly.
Okay.
Making it clear to the child that this is about helping them manage their behavior.
So they're in control.
Right. And the book talks about making it the child's problem, meaning that, they choose to rejoin the activity once they're feeling calmer.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it gives them that sense of agency.
Yeah, it's not you forcing them.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And then we've got natural consequences and logical consequences.
Right. So these are all about connecting actions to outcomes.
Okay.
In a way that makes sense to the child.
Okay, so give me an example.
So a natural consequence would be like if they refuse to wear a coat on a chilly day.
Okay.
The natural consequence is that they get cold.
Yeah, they learn the hard way.
Right. And it's a great way for them to, experience those natural consequences and make different choices next time.
Right, because then they can connect the dots.
Exactly.
Okay, and what about logical consequences?
So logical consequences are similar, but they're imposed by the parent. But they're directly related to the misbehavior.
So it's not just like a random punishment.
Right. It's something that makes sense given their actions.
Okay.
So, for example, if they break a toy by being careless, a logical consequence might be that they lose the privilege of playing with that toy for a while.
So they experience a loss.
Exactly.
That's related to their behavior.
And again, it's important to be consistent and fair.
Well,
explain the connection between their actions and the consequences in a way that they can understand.
so it's all about teaching them those cause and effect relationships.
Right, because that understanding is so crucial for them to develop a sense of responsibility and self-control.
I love how this book really focuses on teaching
It does.
and giving kids those tools to make good choices.
Because ultimately that's what we want, right?
Yeah.
We want our kids to grow up to be good people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to be able to navigate the world.
Right, and make good decisions.
Yeah. So I think that's a really great takeaway from this deep dive into the mother of all parenting books.
It's been a great discussion.
It has, and we've covered a lot of ground,
We have.
but I feel like we've just scratched the surface.
There's always more to learn.
There's always more to learn, but I think this is a great starting point.
It is.
So anyone who's feeling, overwhelmed or confused about parenting,
Absolutely.
it's a great resource, and it's full of really practical advice
And encouragement.
and encouragement. Yes, because we all need that.
We do.
So as you continue on your own parenting journey, just remember that you're not alone. There's a lot of support out there, and there are resources available, and just keep learning, keep growing, and keep doing your best.
And remember to give yourself some grace.
Yes, grace is key.
Because we're all just figuring it out as we go.
We are all just figuring it out as we go, and that's okay.
It is.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
And to all of you listening out there, thanks for tuning in.
See you next time.